2020 has reminded us of the need to be agile in the face of constant and sudden change. Every customer I have spoken to has had to do things differently. Some are focusing on driving greater efficiency in their operations, and others are experiencing a massive amount of growth. Across the board, I see organizations looking to use their data to make better decisions quickly as changes occur. Hello everyone, my name is Melody Yang. I am Senior Analytics Solution Architect in AWS. I have been helping our customers of all sizes succeed at their data-driven transformation journey. Today, I'm going to talk about how to harness the power of your data with AWS Analytics. We hear from customers all the time that they are looking to extract more value from their data, but struggle to capture, store, and analyze all the data generated by today's modern and digital businesses. Data is growing exponentially, coming from various sources, is increasingly diverse, and needs to be securely accessed and analyzed by any number of applications and people. Data is the core behind every business and every decision. Gartner stats that 63% of CEOs say they are likely to make a change to the business model over the next 2 years, and performing analytics prior to, during, and after changes of this magnitude is crucial. In the last summit, I talked about how agility is your business competitive advantage. If there's one thing we learned in the challenging year of 2020, it is that agility is more important than ever. We can't really predict the future, but we can put in place the infrastructure and the tools required to adjust to changes as quickly as possible. Data helps you identify changes, and the right data and analytics approach help you make the right decisions quickly as changes occur. We have seen a large retailer customer who had to scale down their footprints in physical stores when lockdown happened. As people are stuck at home and needed to find other forms of shopping than what they were used to, things spiked on their online transactions. Then they respond quickly and scale up their e-commerce business rapidly. Behind the scene, they have an enterprise-grade data lake platform as the foundational source of truth. Utilizing AWS analytics services such as Amazon Athena and Amazon SageMaker, a machine learning model was trained to highlight key customer behavior characteristics, leading to and predicting customer churn. So we are really proud that our customers chose AWS Analytics that are taking advantage of these technologies to help them adapt in this challenging year. Now let's talk more about how customers are evolving their data architectures to analyze vast amounts of data in an agile and cost-effective manner. So in the real world, customers don't have all the data in one place. It's not all in a big data warehouse or database. It's not only just in a data lake. It spreads out across a variety of systems. Ultimately, you need to have your data stored in a centralized data lake in order to make it easily accessible in one place for folks to run analytics. Then moving a portion of that data to a purpose-built data stores to do additional machine learning or analytics as the inside-out approach. And we acknowledge that it is incredibly important that the data you have in your data lake can easily be moved or queried from your existing systems outside of that sort of central ring. Right? For example, you may want to collect web clickstream data from your e-commerce application directly into the data lake, and then move a portion of that data out to a data warehouse for your daily reporting and dashboards. In a driver vehicle prediction use case, I have a manufacturer customer ingests their IoT data to a data lake in near real time. That data is fed to a data processing platform in order to aggregate and transform into metrics like average speed, number of starts and stops per second, how often doors are opened, etc. The summarized data sets are then published to a data warehouse for analysis by geography and the dashboarding of trends over time. So we know customers are going to have need for a variety of different systems outside of the data lake. Whether that's your relational or non-relational database as a traditional system, or things like Redshift Data Warehouse to make sure you can very rapidly query data with SQL to get instance results that are faster enough to power your dashboards. We also know there are other use cases like machine learning or log analytics. Customers are going to need purpose-built analytic services in order to truly get responses that they need for those very specific use cases or for those very specific business needs. It's incredibly important that all of those systems around the ring are able to push data into your data lake. So think of this as the outside-in approach. It means your data lives in purpose-built data stores that are optimized to give you the performance and the scale. And you can move a portion or all of those data into the data lake in order to analyze them easily in a consolidated manner, powered by your S3 data lake. For example, some of my customers archive large amount of historical sales data from data warehouse into data lake to train their recommendation algorithms using machine learning. I have seen another customer who are airline customer feed their flight delay information from their operational database to S3, which hosts the flight's passenger data in order to generate a list of the impacted customers on that flight. Then send an email or SMS notification to the affected passengers. And lastly, it is very important to make sure that you are able to move data around the parameter to move it between systems, databases, and your data warehouses, in and out of your other purpose-built analytics data stores as necessary. So think of this as moving the ball around the parameter. The ball represents your data that is able to easily replicate and combine across these purpose-built data stores. An example from my healthcare customer is that they have a clinical information system running on a high-performance database. They also copied the data in real time to their search platform to enable real-time query of a product catalog for their users in order to improve accessibility and the user experience. Commonly, I see my customers utilizing data processing systems to retrieve their business data from relational databases, transform them to a compatible format, then output to a data warehouse for the optimal query performance to power their business intelligence use cases. One of the concepts that we think is incredibly important that we've seen emerge for our customers over the past couple of years is the notion of data gravity. That's the idea that data has a tendency to sit near the system where it is used, with the system where it is processed. And increasingly, one of the challenges we see with our customers is that they end up with silos of data that actually form their data lake. As data in these data lakes and purpose-built stores continue to grow, it becomes really hard to move all of this data around because data has gravity. To enable themselves to get the most out of their data at any scale, customers are rapidly modernizing their data architectures, moved to what we call it a lakehouse architecture. It allows you to very easily move data between all of these different systems. It acknowledges the reality that you are going to have a variety of different systems storing your data, and each of those systems has data gravity. The data tends to stay in those places. But a lakehouse architecture allows for this seamlessly and smoothly. It allows you to still get insight from all of your data very rapidly. In order to do this, the modern lakehouse architecture requires you to have a scalable data lake at the center of your data architecture. Your purpose-built data services that have the ability to easily move your data in or out of your data lake, but are still the best of breed to provide you the cost efficiency and performance you need. You have seamless data movement capability built into your architecture so that your data could move in and out of those different purpose-built systems and around the perimeter very easily. Additionally, it is equally important that you need to set up governance and compliance in a unified way. You need one place where you can configure governance rules, access control rules, data masking rules for everything in your architecture. And lastly, you need to make sure you have got an architecture instead of technologies that are performant and cost-effective. As we said, data is growing exponentially, but obviously your cost to store that data count, right? And you can't have your system fall over and become slower and slower and non-performance just because you've got a huge amount of data. You need to deal with the reality of the scale of data today, and you need to do so in a way that is as cost-effective as possible. Now, let's take a close look at Lakehouse architecture on AWS. What does it look like with AWS Analytics Services to harnessing the power of your data? So, specifically, we provide a set of tools in the AWS Analytics portfolio that help our customers meet those challenges. At the very center, it starts with Amazon S3. Customers have been built data lake on S3 longer than any other cloud provider today, and more data lakes run on AWS than anywhere else. Using Athena, our interactive query service, they can easily analyze their data with zero duplication or movement. In addition to the data lake, customers use a combination of our purpose-built databases and analytics services like EMR, Amazon Elasticsearch, and Redshift to ensure they are using the right tool for the job to get a high performance and scale at the lowest possible cost. To move their data between these systems, they use AWS Glue, our serverless data integration service. And finally, they use AWS Lake Formation to manage the security and governance of all their data, regardless of whether it sits in the data lake or in purpose-built stores. In all of these cases, we have invested heavily in offering the best price and performance out there. We know that our customers build more and more capabilities and require more value on top of their data. They need the best of breed services, right, in order to do it in a way that's productive and cost efficient. Now, let's dive in to each component to find out how to harness the power of your data with these AWS Analytics services. First of all, data lakes makes it easy to gain insights from your data by providing a single place to access all of that data in different open formats like Parquet, ORC, Avro, etc. Customers need a highly scalable, available, secure, and flexible data store that can handle extremely large data sets at a reasonable price. AWS has been helping customers build a strong foundation for their data lake with services like Amazon S3 for years. And now we have tens of thousands of customers with AWS-powered data lakes. Because it has unmatched durability, availability, and scalability with the fastest performance at the lowest cost. It has the best security, compliance, and audit features. Its unique capabilities include storing customer data in 3 independent data centers in a single AWS region, and automatically replicating data between multiple accounts or multiple regions if you need. However, setting up and managing data lakes today involves a lot of manual and time-consuming tasks, such as loading data from different sources, monitoring these data flows, setting up partitions, turning on encryption, and managing keys. To help make this easier for customers, we built AWS Lake Formation. It helps customers build and secure data lakes in days instead of months. With Lake Formation, you can move, transform, store, catalog, and clean your data faster. It simplifies security management by providing secure access control over your sensitive data. It stores your security, governance, and auditing policies in a single place in order to achieve the unified data governance. AWS Lake Formation makes it easy to find and get access to your data. It helps you build a data catalog that describes the different data sets that are available to you. And you get a central point of control for analyzing how data is being used and tracking its lineage. These capabilities are why we have more data lakes running on AWS than anywhere else. In many cases, you also need purpose-built data services optimized for specific use cases. Whatever you are looking to do with your data, AWS gives you the broadest and deepest portfolio of purpose-built analytics services. Here are some examples as the purpose-built analytics services. For example, Athena is our serverless, highly performant, interactive query service that makes it easy to analyze data directly in S3 using standard SQL. With Athena, there is no need for complex ETL to prepare your data for analysis. This means anyone with SQL skills can easily and quickly analyze large-scale data sets stored in S3 with zero data duplications. Amazon EMR makes it easy to process petabytes of scaled data using the latest open-source big data frameworks such as Spark, Hive, Presto, HBase, Flink, and Hudi, and so on. The list can go on for a whole day. If you want to quickly search, analyze, and visualize your log data in order to monitor the health of your production systems, you can use Amazon Elasticsearch service. It is a fully managed service that makes it easy for you to deploy, secure, and run Elasticsearch cost-effectively at scale. If you want to do real-time processing of streaming data, you can use Amazon's Kinesis. If you have complex queries against structured data and you want super fast queries results, you want a data warehouse like Amazon Redshift. These services are all built to be best of breed, which means you never have to compromise on performance, scale, or cost when using them. As we mentioned earlier, once you have a centralized data lake and a collection of purpose-built analytics services for your use case, it's important to be able to move that data between the data stores. AWS provides seamless data movement, allowing you to easily move data between the data lake and purpose-built data services, like inside out, outside in, and around the perimeter. No other analytics provider makes it easy to move data at scale to where it is needed most. Let's dive deeper into how we enable this for customers with AWS Glue service. AWS Glue is a serverless data integration service that makes it easy to prepare data for analytics, machine learning, and application development. AWS Glue provides all of the capabilities needed for data integration, so you can gain insights and put your data to use in minutes instead of months. AWS Glue provides both visual and code-based interfaces to make data integration easy. Users can easily find and access data via the AWS Glue data catalog. Data engineers and ETL developers can visually create, run, and monitor ETL workflows with a few clicks in AWS Glue Studio. Data analysts and data scientists can use AWS Glue Data Brew to visually enrich, clean, and normalize data without writing a single line of code. Our services and features include ETL, visual data preparation, data replication movement to and from your data lake and data warehouse, and federated query. Regardless of how and where you store your data, it is important to have unified governance capabilities to effectively secure the data and who can access to it. One of the most important pieces of a modern analytics architecture is the ability for customers to authorize, manage, and audit access to data. This can be challenging when you are using a data lake and a collection of purpose-built data services to store and analyze your data. Because managing security, access control, and audit trails on all of those systems is complex, time-consuming, and error-prone because it requires manually maintaining access control lists and audit policies across different systems and large amount of storage systems. AWS Lake Formation helps make that easier by providing a single place to enforce access controls for all services that access your data, such as Redshift, EMR, Athena, and SageMaker. Lake Formation enforces the security policies across multiple services. You can centrally define security governance and auditing policies in one place. Then you can enforce those policies for your users across multiple services that access data stored in the data lake. This reduces the effort in configuring policies across services and provides consistent enforcement and compliance. This can even be done across multiple AWS accounts. Lake Formation also tracks who accesses that data, so you can have an audit trail and can prove compliance with industry regulations governing access to data. Access to data is also not always a simple on or off setting for users. Sometimes you want to provide access to a dataset like customer information while still hiding a specific columns within that dataset that contains sensitive information like credit card numbers. In these situations, Lake Formation can help you set access policies to hide specific columns unless a user has been granted access to those columns. This means you don't need to maintain multiple copies of your data for each use cases with different columns. Just simply set different access rules for different groups of users. Addition to the governance, AWS is committed to building the best-in-breed service across all of our categories. As part of that, we will always bring you the most performant and cost-effective solutions. Cost and performance are important. You need a platform that provides performance at scale, while also helping to minimize the cost to quickly store and transform and analyze data. AWS is committed to providing the best performance at the lowest cost across all analytics services. And we are continually innovating to improve the price performance of our services. Cost-effective doesn't just mean cheaper, right? It means customers can do more, be smarter about their spending, analyze and store more data in order to transform data into actionable insights that inform an organization's strategic and tactical business decisions. Here is one example of how AWS offers more value for the money. Amazon QuickSight is a cloud-native business intelligence solution, natively integrated AWS service. It means zero cost on hardware and software maintenance. It is the only solution with pay-as-you-go pricing for readers, typically on technical users for as low as 30 cents a session and capped at $5 a month. AWS has the most scalable, cost-effective, high-performing infrastructure for analytics. At AWS, we don't compromise on performance, scale, or cost. For example, Amazon Redshift provides 3 times better price performance than other cloud data warehouses with a self-tuning system. So you don't need to do any heavy lifting to see optimal performance. To further improve performance, we introduced the Aqua, Advanced Query Accelerator for Redshift, an innovative new hardware-accelerated cache that boosts queries, achieving speed up to 10 times faster than other cloud data warehouses. Our big data processing service, like Amazon EMR, includes optimized runtimes that provide the best price performance for Apache Spark, Apache Hive, and PrestoDB. For Spark 3.0, Amazon EMR runs jobs 1.7 times faster than open source Spark. And for PrestoDB, EMR runs queries up to 2.6 times faster. In addition to unmatched price performance for analytics services, AWS provides a comprehensive set of features to help manage cost, so you can quickly get insights, but at a fraction of what that would cost otherwise. For example, 90% of cost reduction using Amazon Elasticsearch Ultra-Warm storage, up to 40% of storage cost for S3-based data lakes with intelligent tiering, and use the new Graviton 2 instances saves customer over 25.7% for typical workloads. We don't compromise and always look forward to the future in addressing customers' needs. And we are reinventing business intelligence. At reInvent last year, we have launched a number of new services and features that continue to accelerate innovation across our portfolio. To help customers build a modern cloud data web, and I'm excited for the opportunity to share a few of them with you here. For example, EMR on EKS is one of my favorites. As I mentioned at the start, customers are facing a new scale of data. Traditional data strategy and approaches simply don't scale in a way that can cope with these new challenges. A lakehouse architecture on AWS will help you quickly get insight from all of your data to all of your users and will allow you to build for the future. So you can easily add new analytics approaches and technologies. We can work with you to build and run all of the components of a lakehouse architecture so you can rapidly build a scalable data lake. Use a broad and deep collection of purpose-built data services that provide the performance required for use cases like interactive dashboards and log analytics. Easily move data between the data lake and purpose-built data services. Ensure compliance via a unified way to secure, monitor, and managing access to your data, and scale your systems at low cost without compromising performance. Tens of thousands of AWS customers have chosen this approach. Based on their success, we are continually making it easier to get it started and easier to show your first successes with this approach to analytics. If you want to learn more about our analytics portfolio, I encourage you to attend other sessions that walk you through our AWS analytics services with new features announced at the latest reInvent. Finally, in order to harness data to improve business outcomes, organizations must establish new data strategy and rationalize platforms, technologies, and approaches. If you want to start with building a data vision and strategy, you may consider participating in one of our analytics programs like Data Drives Everything. If you have an existing strategy but need help executing it, take advantage of the AWS Data Lab. It offers opportunities for customers and AWS technical resources to engage and accelerate data and analytics modernization initiatives. You join the AWS Summit to learn, and you can keep the learning going after the summit with the resources from AWS training and certification. We offer many free and on-demand digital courses as well as virtual instructor-led training. AWS experts will help you or your team learn to build and validate your data analytics skills. When you are ready, prepare for the AWS Certified Data Analytics Specialty exam, which validates your skills and provides an industry-recognized credential. For more information, visit aws.training/analytics and be sure to check out our AWS Ramp-Up Guide to learn more. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me and watching the talk. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something new today. Last but not least, please fill in the session feedback in order to help us to improve our future sessions. Thank you.